clients from the LGBTQA community, and my therapy space is a safe space for everybody to come and share their problems with me. I'll hand it over to Anyasha, who's our co-host today, who will introduce herself and then quickly go over our ground rules.
Hi everyone, a very good afternoon to you all. My name is Anyasha Danlangste and I'm your co-host for today. My educational backgrounds are BA Honors in Psychology, and I've also completed my MSc in Clinical Psychology. My specialties include anxiety, stress, and relationship issues, and I'm very excited to be your co-host for today. So here are some ground rules. Please make sure that your mic is muted throughout the session unless you're asked to unmute and speak. And make sure that your cameras are off during the presentation. If you need to voice out any opinion or say anything, you can just raise your hand and using the hand raise button. And kindly use the chat box as well if you have any queries or anything you want to say in the middle of any segment. They will be attended to at the end of each segment. And kindly remember that this is a collective space. So if you feel that you need to discuss deeper or more personal issues, you can wait till the end of the section of the workshop so that the seminar concludes on time and then everybody's time is respected. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anyasha. Yes, please remember that you can post anything you want in the chat at all times, and then let's just move forward. So a little bit of an introduction for today. So what we'll focus on are these three elements: exercise, nutrition, and sleep, which are often treated separately, but together they form a powerful triangle of well-being. They work together to enhance our productivity and mental health. So today we'll also dive into the science behind each, and in the end, we'll talk about practical strategies that you can start using from today that help improve your overall well-being. So just a quick icebreaker activity. You can put your answers in the chat. What area do you think you struggle the most with? Is it nutrition, exercise, or sleep? Exercise. Kanvi says, all to be honest. Abhinav says nutrition. Shloka says nutrition. Everything, sorry. And Ali says nutrition, exercise, sleep as well. Okay, Poonam, sorry, Hindi mein nahi hoga, sorry, workshop English mein hai. Exercise. So I see everything kind of repeating as well. And nutrition. Okay, thank you all for sharing. So this is the agenda for today, and here's a quick look on what we'll be covering. So we'll be looking at the role of exercise and how movement influences our brain performance. We will also be looking at nutrition's impact on our brain health and what role the food plays in affecting our mood, energy, and cognition. Then we'll move on to looking at the power of sleep and how sleep boosts our mental functioning. Then in the end, we'll kind of integrate all three and see how we can do activities and techniques that will help reach our peak productivity. So this is the role of exercise. So exercise isn't just about the physical fitness. It deeply affects our brain. It enhances our cognitive performance, lifts our mood, and improves our productivity overall. When we think of exercise, we often focus on fitness or body image, but the real magic lies in what it does to our brain. Exercise boosts mental performance, stabilizes our mood, it increases our energy and our overall productivity. It also helps directly in our concentration, problem solving, and emotionally regulate more effectively. Now let's see the science behind why does this help. So first, let's focus on neurotransmitters. So what are neurotransmitters? They are chemical messengers that transit signals between neurons, that are our nerve cells, or between neurons and other target muscle cells like muscle cells or gram cells. These molecules play a crucial role in our bodily function, including thought, emotion, movement, and sleep. So what exercise does it triggers the release of endorphins, which are the natural painkillers and mood boosters in our brain, serotonin, which helps regulate mood and anxiety, dopamine, which is the motivation and the reward chemical of our brain. These not only help us make us feel better, but they help us think and perform better overall. Exercise also increases the blood flow in our body and to the brain, which delivers oxygen and nutrients that improve our mental clarity, memory, and emotional regulation. This effect is especially pronounced during aerobatic exercises. So, when you move a lot of your body, when you do things in sets, when you repeat your exercise, it really helps boost the blood flow. It also impacts stress. So the way it works with stress reduction is it lowers a hormone in our body, which is cortisol, which is the primary stress hormone we have. And it, like I said, boosts endorphins, dopamine, and serotonin, which are neurotransmitters that are associated with mood regulation. In terms of memory, physical activity increases blood flow to the brain, which promotes the release of key proteins that support the growth of new neurons. And it also has an effect in the hippocampus, which is the memory center of our brain. All this combined, it makes us have a mental clarity. Exercise improves executive function by enhancing the prefrontal cortex activity, which is the logical part of our brain. It reduces brain fog and improves attention span and processing speed at which we understand the information that's given to us. It also improves our sleep, which in turn supports clarity and improves our cognitive function. So now let's look at some examples of exercises and how they help our brain alertness. So first, if we look at cardio, it increases oxygen supply to the brain, which improves attention and processing speed. This also increases the cardiovascular activity in our heart that pumps the blood out into the whole body. And when it pumps more brain, effects uh, the effects that happen increase. It also leads to a better delivery of glucose and nutrients, which fuel brain cells and optimize cognitive performance. It also boosts neurotransmitters that support focus and alertness. It enhances our brain plasticity that helps us with learning and mental agility. It also increases our energy and wakefulness, especially in the morning sessions that make us feel more awake during the day. So the information that we are receiving, we can process more easily. With yoga, as it combines breath control, movement, and mindfulness, it activates our parasympathetic nervous system, which is our body's rest and recover mode. During this, it helps us regulate our emotion and decrease rumination, which is negative patterns of repetitive thinking. It also improves our body awareness, which is linked to improved emotional regulation, and reduces cortisol, the stress hormone, which leads us to having a more mental calm and a gentler day. When we talk about weight training and strength training, it increases executive function. Particularly, it has an effect on our working memory and problem solving. It releases insulin-like growth factor, which supports neuron growth and memory. It also enhances our goal-oriented thinking. So as people are tracking their steps, their reps, they're counting in their head, they're also listening to music, so their focus is quite increased. And in that, the brain practices how to discipline, and it gives you motivation. When it comes to walking, it it kind of helps the brain's creative and problem solving system, which is called the default mode network. It helps. So walking activates it when the individual is not focused, and the external environment that you're in is you're more engaged and you focus more on your thought process rather than what's going on in the world around you. It increases divergent thinking, which is the ability to generate new ideas. It also provides your brain with a mental white space where the unconscious mind can kind of go through your experiences and process the problems. Next, we have some alternative short exercises. So these are the ones that you can do quickly. They're usually between 5 and 10 minutes. So when you're overwhelmed and your mental bandwidth is limited, this is exactly when these short, purposeful movements kind of act like a reset button for our nervous system. They're usually 5 to 10 minutes that improve blood flow, increase energy, and reduce stress. And it kind of shifts you out of a mental rut if you're stuck in one. So with body weight circuit, it is cardio and strength based. So it kind of improves your focus, memory, and attention, which is because of the oxygen rich brain and neurotransmitters firing off. Tai Chi also has the same kind of effect that yoga does, where it improves body awareness, which is linked to improved emotional self regulation. It also reduces cortisol, which is our stress hormone that leads to a greater mental calm. You can also do HIIT workouts. So, what does HIIT stand for? It stands for high intensity interval training. So, an example for this would be for 30 seconds, you do jumping jacks, then for 30 seconds, you rest, and then you repeat the same after 5 minutes. Or you do 20 squats, then you do 10 push ups, then you rest for 5 minutes, and then you repeat the process. So this quickly elevates your heart rate, which leads to a rapid increase in oxygen and glucose delivery to the brain. It releases adrenaline and dopamine, which kind of create a sense of alert and drive and motivate you forward with energy, and that you can get without consuming, say, caffeine. It makes you gives you the same energy. And when we talk about foam rolling or gentle stretching, it helps calm your nervous system. The low intensity movements stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system, which helps shift the body from fight or flight to rest and digest mode. So it kind of relaxes you. The foam rolling also releases tension in the fascia, which is the connective tissues we have all over our body, which signals safety to the brain and then reduce the perceived stress that we feel. It also slows your breathing and heart rate down, which grounds your attention and reduces any racing thoughts that you're having. So this was all the information we had on the exercise module. So let's move forward. Let me just read some comments. That's like burpees. Yes, it is. So when you do short form or quick exercises and you do it in a repeat form that kind of activates your entire body, that's where it helps. You're completely right. So a question for all of you. What are your favorite types of exercise and usually how do they make you feel? Science says pranayama is that part of yoga. Usually do cardio. CG says stretching. Asna says I love weightlifting. That's amazing. Okay, Sayan, that's fine. No issues. Walking, dancing is a good one, Sneha. Diamond push-up. Anusha says, I do like walking, but it doesn't motivate, but good sleep. That's true. Some yoga and walking, weight training. Yes, Sanju, go ahead. Yes, Sanju, you can ask your question. Do you have a question? Okay. If you have any questions, you can just type it in the chat and we'll get to it towards the end. Anusha says jumping jacks feels energetic. Yes, they do. They're kind of the HHIT workouts. Walking and meditation, Preeti is sharing. Okay, so let's move forward. Now we look at nutrition for brain health. So, our brain is a very hungry organ. The brain usually weighs about 2% of your body weight, but it consumes 20% of your total energy in a day. It is always active, even when you're sleeping. It's running millions of electrical and chemical signals all the time. So, it needs high quality fuel to maintain the attention, memory, emotional regulation, and decision making that we do day by day. So, now we'll focus on a few key nutrients that are good for your brain health. So, first, let's look at antioxidants. They reduce inflammation and the oxidative stress that our body feels. This is why they matter. The brain cells produce free radicals during metabolism. Too many of these free radicals cause oxidative stress, which damages our neurons. So, antioxidants neutralize these free radicals that then in turn reduce cellular damage and inflammation. Mentally, it protects our memory and learning centers, like we spoke about the hippocampus. It also results in reducing brain fog, fatigue, and age related cognitive decline. So, some of the food sources that you can have here are berries, dark chocolate, green tea, spinach, and other leafy greens, and also turmeric, which is a powerful antioxidant. It kind of protects your brain by rust proof coating your neurons so they're not damaged. Then we can also look at omega-3 fatty acids, which help build cell membranes. So our brain is 60% of fat, which is a big portion. That is DHA and omega-3 fatty acid. So omega 3s are used to build and repair the brain cell membranes. It supports clear and fast communication between our neurons. So that's why it helps improve our focus, our mood stability. It helps reduces symptoms of depression, anxiety, and ADHD. It is anti-inflammatory and it supports long-term brain health. Some of the food sources here are fatty fish, flax seeds, chia seeds, walnuts, and they're kind of like the building blocks of your brain's wiring system. Next, if you look at vitamins and minerals, it fuels neurotransmitters and our brain chemistry. The brain needs B vitamins, magnesium, zinc, iron, and vitamin D to create neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin, which are very important to mental health. And they also regulate energy production, stress response, and our sleep cycles. So the impact that these minerals have, so for example, vitamin B, it directly impacts our energy and mood regulation. So especially vitamin B6, B9, and B12. And then magnesium kind of calms the nervous system, which improves sleep and anxiety. So taking magnesium before you go to bed usually helps with a restful sleep. Iron carries the oxygen to the brain, which improves attention. Zinc supports memory and cognitive function, and vitamin D regulates mood and our overall immune function. So, some food sources here are whole grains, beans, legumes, eggs, nuts, and seeds, and then mushroom, and especially sunlight, of course, for vitamin D. Water is also a really, really important part of the nutrients that we should intake. The human brain is made up of around 75 to 80% of just water. And this water is essential for delivering oxygen and nutrients to the brain cells. It helps in removing toxins and metabolic waste. It also supports neurotransmitter and hormone production. It helps maintain the electrical activity and neuron communication. Just 1 or 2% of a drop in your hydration levels can instantly start affecting your mood, concentration, and memory. And some of the effects of dehydration can be that you have reduced attention span, you have slower reaction time, your short-term memory becomes a little poorer, and you have difficulty concentrating. So once you're able to keep yourself hydrated, it helps as the electrolyte imbalance is fixed, and the increase in blood flow also takes the required oxygen and nutrients to reach the brain. So how much water do you really need? So the journal guideline usually is that you need 8 to 10 cups, which is 2 to 2.5 liters a day. But the need of the amount that you can require in a day kind of changes depending on the kind of climate you're living in. So if you're living somewhere where it's a lot of heat, a lot of humidity, that you're sweating a lot, so you need to drink more than the 8 to 10 cups. Activity level also makes a difference. If you're somebody who has a physical job or likes doing physical exercises, then the water intake needs to increase. And also diet. If you're consuming more processed foods, then more water is required. So starting your morning with a glass of water is important. We can have a water bottle nearby. You can eat water-rich foods like cucumber, watermelon, oranges, and soups. So since we're talking about water, let's all have a quick water break. So everybody grab a little bit of water and have a sip. I'll do it as well. Tanvi says, I just took water now. That's great. I'm so glad we all just had contributed a little bit to our hydration. So moving on, let's talk about blood sugar level. So blood sugar, which refers to the glucose in our body, is the primary fuel to brain and body that they use for energy production. So it comes from carbohydrates that we eat, so things like rice, bread, fruit, or sweets. And when we eat, our body breaks down food into the glucose, and then it is released into the bloodstream. So how does sugar affect our brain? It depends on the brain depends on a steady balanced supply of glucose, but when the blood sugar levels swing too high or too low, it disrupts the mental performance and mood regulation. So what are blood sugar spikes? So it usually happens after you eat too much sugar or refined carbs, for example pastries, sodas, or a lot of white bread. What it does is the glucose that is formed flows very quickly into the bloodstream, and the body responds by releasing a large amount of insulin, the hormone that pulls sugar out of your blood and into the cells. And because both are happening in large quantity, it often results in a crash where the blood sugar drops sharply as the insulin takes all of the sugar out. And the mental effects of these spike and crash sugar levels can initially, it is kind of like you feel a sugar rush. So you feel a brief energy bursts or hyperactivity. But then quickly when the crash happens, it's followed by fatigue and brain fog. You're more irritable, there are mood swings, you have difficulty concentrating. And because you want to feel the boost of energy and hyperactivity again to be able to do your work, you crave for more sugar, and then the cycle continues. So a few strategies that you can do so your blood sugar doesn't spike is to eat complex carbs, which are required, but also eat fiber with it. So what fiber does, it kind of slows down the glucose absorption, so your energy is more stable throughout the day. You can also pair your carbs with proteins and fats, and then that helps. It prolongs kind of how the glucose is being absorbed. You can also avoid high sugary drinks and snacks, so the rapid highs and crashes don't happen quite often. And it is also recommended that you eat regularly. So every 3 or 4 hours, you have a little snack or you have a meal, so your glucose production is steady and you don't feel the dips. Obviously, a balanced meal is the best way to go. So brown rice, lentils, veggies, a little bit of olive oil. It's kind of like a balanced meal. So it slows down your digestion, it delivers the nutrients throughout your body more steadily, and then you avoid a crash. The next thing that we'll be talking about is the gut brain axis. So this is based on the vagus nerve, which is the superhighway between our brain and gut. So it is the largest cranial nerve in the body. It runs from the brainstem to the abdomen, and it controls appetite, sleep, digestion, and emotions. parts that will help you increase the nutrient intake in your life. So prebiotics are when you feed the good bacteria. Without the prebiotics, probiotics can't thrive. So this involves eating fiber-rich foods like garlic, onions, bananas, oats, and asparagus. It works as it nourishes beneficial gut bacteria that indirectly supports the brain with helping nutrient absorption, improving our immune function, and the production of mood regulating chemicals. When we talk about probiotics, that's more for the gut health, which is the gut is often called the second brain, like we discussed, and it makes neurotransmitters like, sir, hello, am I still audible? Okay, thank you for that. So where were we? The second brain, because it produces neurotransmitters like serotonin. It involves eating fermented foods like yogurt, kefir, kimchi, sauerkraut, and any dish that is made with miso. It works as probiotic, balance the gut microbiome, which lowers our stress, improves mood, reduces symptoms of anxiety and depression through this gut-brain axis that we just discussed about. It's also important to have, I'm sorry, just give me 1 second. Yes, sorry. So let's look at the anti-inflammatory diet, which reduces the brain inflammation. This is kind of linked to the chronic inflammation that has been linked to depression, anxiety, and brain fog. It involves eating rich foods in antioxidants and omega-3s, like we spoke about. So berries, leafy greens, turmeric, and kind of avoid processed, sugary, and fried foods. It helps as the diet reduces systemic inflammation, including neuron inflammation, which is inflammation in the brain, which supports clearer thinking and emotional stability throughout. So this balanced routine that we need to have where we're also exercising and eating good food, the brain thrives on rhythm and predictability. So regular sleep, consistent meals, exercise, off-screen time, they come together and the balanced routine regulates our circadian rhythm. It improves neurotransmitter balance and it reduces the emotional reactivity, stress, and fatigue that we feel. So that's all about nutrients. So carbohydrates impacts our energy. We have healthy fats that contribute to our cognitive function. Eating protein helps with mental clarity. Antioxidants regulate our mood. Hydration improves our focus, and eating healthy snacks has an impact on our overall energy. Next, a quick question for all of you. Have you ever made any conscious changes in your food habits that have impacted you? Would anyone like to share what it was and what impact it had? Zainab says, I recently limited my outside food consumption. That's good. Did it help with your energy levels and concentration? Kanvi says, yes, when I eat healthy, I feel more conscious and does not go into emotional hunger. That's amazing. Zanab says, when I go out and I carry a cucumber or peanuts with me, cucumber is very good for hydration and antioxidants. So you're getting two good things from just one cucumber. CG says, yes, recently switched to zero sugar diet to lose weight and lower blood sugar. I think that's very good that you're doing that, but I will also recommend that you do need a little bit of sugar because sugar is also important. But if you're taking it in the form of fruits, then it's healthy sugar that's going in your body. I'll also share a little bit. I recently had to, I noticed that I was getting a lot of headaches and I was feeling really irritated during the day. And it was mostly because of the weather. The weather has been really sticky and really humid. So I was sweating a lot. So now I've doubled the intake of the water that I drink in a day. And it has really helped me feel more calm. And the headaches are also gone because I'm hydrated. Thank you all so much for sharing. Let's move on. So a quick ad break. So, like those moments on YouTube when a quick ad pops up, this is also the same, and we have a short ad for you. It's very quick and it will be super beneficial for you. So, what is one-on-one counseling? So, it's a personalized, confidential chat between you and a trained therapist. Imagine having someone who really listens, understands you, and helps you figure things out. The benefits that you get are personal growth, problem solving, setting goals, and boosting your overall mental well being. It's like having a personal coach for your mind. So, what are some myths about counseling? Let's burst a big one. Many think counseling is only for those who are unwell, but that's not true. Counseling is for everyone who wants to be their best self. Do you want better relationships, more friends, a spot in your dream college or job? Counseling can help with all that. It's about making the best version of you. So, what are some of the benefits of choosing Mind Tribe? First of all, our counselors are super talented. We are also affordable with sessions ranging from 249 to 5,000. And your first session will be 249. And once you're comfortable, you can choose from many of our affordable packages. So we are here to empower minds and transform lives at Mind Tribe. If you have any questions related to how to book or what to expect from therapy, you can put them in the chat box while we take a quick break. Kanvi, the difference between counseling and therapy session is there isn't any. Counseling and therapy are kind of synonyms of each other. Okay, so moving on. Oh, 1 second. Yes, Nishana, do you have a question? Oh, I think that was my mistake. Okay, so moving on next. Now we have done exercise and we have done nutrients. So now we'll look in at the Nishana, it's okay, no worries. So now we'll move forward and we'll look at the power of sleep. So what are the different stages of sleep? So first we'll look at what NREM stands for. So it stands for non-rapid eye movement. So the first stage of it is RM1, which is usually between 5 to 10 minutes of when you fall asleep. It is the lightest stage of sleep, and it is a transition between wakefulness and sleep. What happens is your muscle relax slightly, though you might experience muscle twitches. Like sometimes when you feel like you're about to fall asleep, it feels like you're falling, or your muscles kind of twitch and it jerks you awake. It's usually when the brain waves slow down from active waves to slower waves. You're easily awakened when you're in this stage, and it also sometimes feels like you haven't even fallen asleep. Your breathing and heart rate begin to slow. In stage 2, the duration is usually 20 minutes per cycle, but it increases in the later cycles. This is described as a deeper stage of light sleep where the body continues to relax. So, what happens is here your body temperature drops, your heart rate and breathing become more regular. You're less aware of your surroundings, but you're still awakened relatively easily. If somebody calls your name or you hear a sound, you're able to get up quite easily. This is essential. This stage is essential for processing emotional memories and beginning the repair and restoration process. If you have poor quality NRM2 sleep, it can impact your focus and emotional regulation. In our next stage, which is the NRM3, it's also called as slow wave sleep or deep sleep. This is between 20 and 40 minutes, and it's longer in the first half of the night. So, this is the deepest, most restorative sleep stage that you are in. The brain slows down its delta waves and its high amplitude waves. The muscle in your body fully relax, your blood pressure and heart rate drop. It's difficult to wake someone when, and this is usually when you say when someone wakes you up and you feel disoriented if you wake up that I was in a very deep sleep. In this stage, when tissue growth and repair happen, the immune system is also strengthened, and it also kind of restores your energy during this stage. The lack of sleep that is linked with the deep sleep is it's linked with depression, weakened immunity, and chronic fatigue. Yes, Sanju, do you have a question? Rimi, yes, they happen in the first stage. So now we move on to REM sleep. So now REM here is rapid eye movement. It starts at 10-30 minutes, but gets longer with each cycle. And sometimes it can be up to an hour. This is the stage where we dream. All our dreams usually happen when we're about to wake up or towards the morning side. You don't dream when you're in your deep sleep cycle, but when you are in your rapid eye movement stage, the eyes the eyes rapidly move behind closed eyelids. The brain activity resembles wakefulness, but you're not completely awake. And vivid dreams can occur in this stage. Heart rate and breathing here becomes a bit irregular. The body is paralyzed in a way. That's why we have sleep paralysis, so that we don't act out our dreams while we're sleeping. This stage is key for emotional processing, creativity, and memory. It also helps with our problem solving. Disturbed REM sleep is associated usually with anxiety, depression, or PTSD, which results in a poor cognitive performance. So having all these stages be, if all these stages are well for you, it can calm brain activity, it improves learning and emotional regulation, it enhances recovery of your body and memory, it reduces stress and fatigue, it also supports your mood, your creativity, sorry, and your mental clarity. So what happens when that is what happens when it's good. What happens when there is sleep deprivation? So we look at the effects of it in short term and then in chronic. So if you're looking at the short term sleep deprivation, it's usually missing a few hours of sleep or staying up maybe one night. It directly impacts your concentration and memory. It is harder to stay focused. Your working memory is weakened, so it's difficult to hold and manipulate small bits of information like remembering a phone number. The processing speed of your information is also slow. Simple tasks take longer time. Complex tasks feel like they're a bit overwhelming. And also poor retention. So in this stage, all the information that you do intake and learn, it's forgotten quite quickly. This happens because this affects the reduced activation in our prefrontal cortex and hippocampus, the brain regions that are responsible for attention and memory formation. It also impacts your mood and emotional regulation. So you're more irritable, you have mood swings, small stressors feel big, you're able to kind of handle criticism and setbacks, handling them are harder because your emotional resilience goes down. There is an increased stress response because this results in higher levels of cortisol, which, as we, if you remember, discussed was is the stress or hormone in our body. Then it also impacts decision making and judgment, where you are more impulsive, less thoughtful, reduced self control. It's harder to regulate cravings, spendings, or behavior. Because you're sleep deprived, you don't often recognize your own errors because your brain's not completely active to intake all of this information. And then when the sleep deprivation is chronic, it has more lasting effects, and it is based on consistently getting inadequate sleep for over days, weeks, or longer. So it impacts your learning capacity. So you have weakened memory consolidation, new information isn't properly stored when you're sleeping, reduced neuroplasticity. So the brain's ability to form and strengthen new connections declines. And overall, you have a decreased academic or work performance because you're not able to retain or remember any of the new skills and knowledge that you have in the day. Because REM, as we discussed, REM and deep sleep are essential for learning, because when you're sleeping, that's when your brain kind of processes the information and stores it that you've learned in a day. It also impacts your cognitive function. So you have chronic brain fog. So that's instant forgetfulness. There's a lot of confusion. You have trouble organizing your thoughts. There is decreased alertness and problem solving. You struggle with critical thinking and you don't feel as creative. There is increased mental fatigue. So all the tasks take more effort. You're not motivated enough to do it, and then it leads to burnout because you're not able to put your best foot forward. It it also impacts your mental health because when you're not sleeping, the serotonin and dopamine regulation, which is very important for your mental health, is not happening because it usually happens when you're in deep sleep. Your body is kind of in a heightened state of alert nonstop because it's not switching off properly at night. So it has a negative impact where there is a greater likelihood of psychiatric disorders. It can trigger or worsen depression, anxiety, bipolar, or in very, very extreme case, it can also lead to psychosis. And this happens because the lack of sleep disturbs the neurochemical balance and the emotional regulation systems that we've been talking about. And it also reduces the brain's ability to recover from stress because your body's never switched off enough for it to get all the benefits. So we did talk about a lot of negative impacts that sleep might have. So what can we do to improve the way we sleep? So we'll focus a little bit on the sleep hygiene tips now. So it's really important to stick to a sleep schedule and stick to consistency. It's good to go to bed and wake up at the same day every day, even on weekends. So there's a consistent structure. It matters because it reinforces your body's circadian rhythm, which helps you fall asleep faster and wake up more refreshed. It directly improves your mood regulation, alertness, and reduces anxiety that is caused by irregular sleep-wake cycles. The bedtime routine also kind of signals a wind down time. You can create a simple pre-sleep ritual, like at the same time every day, dim your lights, stretch a little bit, meditate, read, or take a warm shower. It helps, the regular routine helps train your brain to associate that specific things that you do are associated with sleep. So it kind of kickstarts the brain's preparation that we are about to go to bed. It eases stress, it reduces racing thoughts. You're able to take your time and do things so you're more involved in the actions that you're doing, and it kind of prepares your nervous system in advance that it's about to go to rest. This can also help by limiting stimulants. So screen time and drinking caffeine could help, as also heavy meals at least 4 to 6 hours before bedtime, and reduce the screen time that you have 1 hour before bed. Stimulants block the sleep inducing chemicals like melatonin that we have in our brain, and the blue light suppresses adenosine production. So the way it will benefit if you do these things, it will reduce the insomnia and anxiety. And overall, when you fall asleep, your deep sleep would be improved. It also helps if you get natural light exposure. So get at least 15, 30 minutes of sunlight early in the day, especially in the morning. When you get up in the morning and go in the sunlight signals to your brain to stop the melatonin production and syncing your internal clock. So it wakes you up even more. It boosts your mood. It regulates the sleep-wake rhythm and reduces seasonal depressional symptoms because you're going in the sunlight. A comfortable environment is also really important. I know it is different for everybody because some people can fall asleep in the light with sounds in any wherever they are. So it would be helpful if you know your own environment and stick to it. So for me, I need a cool, quiet, dark, and cozy environment. So I do that. I use blackout curtains. Sometimes I'll just put a white noise machine on so I have a quiet and cool, dark room for myself. Why this matters is because external discomfort can interrupt your deep sleep stages like REM and REM3, the deep sleep cycle, which is really important. And if you're able to sleep more deeply and rest properly, the calm space reduces the stress, it improves your sleep quality, and then your emotional recovery is also enhanced. Exercise is also important, as we have discussed, but it's not if you do it right before bed. It kind of makes you quite awake to go to bed. So don't do exercise right before you're about to go to sleep. Light stretching and meditation might help more. You should only use your bed to sleep. If you do a lot of fun activities or watch movies or do your work in your bed, the brain kind of associates your bed with stress or work. So you need to only have your brain associate your bed to sleep. So if you can avoid your bed and stay away from your bed during the day, it'll help you fall asleep quite quicker. Next. Okay, so are there any sleep hygiene tips you have tried before that have worked for you guys? Ronnie says, is it good to read a book before sleep? Yes, it is. But my personal suggestion would be maybe pick something that is a bit slow and boring. Because if you pick an exciting book right before you're about to fall asleep, you might get too invested in it and you'd want to read more before you sleep. Janvi says, skincare. Yes, that's a really good one. Chamomile tea, Divya, I enjoy that as well. Zanab says, I've tried limiting my screen time but failed. It might be helpful if you keep your screens out of your room so you don't have to always get up to go get them. Hearing religious chantings also works. Gratitude in mind helps when the lights are off. Can't be, you're right. Bath also helps. It relaxes all your muscles. Chanting something, yes. Positive night affirmations, that's great. It also impacts your following day as well, so you get to do both well. Okay, let's quickly move on since we're almost reaching the end. So how do we integrate the exercise, nutrition, and sleep that we discussed today? So the idea is to start small, identify the key area that's impacting you the most. Then we'll put some time management techniques in it and then do the integration step by step. So the way we're going to do today is we'll be setting SMART goals. So what is SMART? It's an acronym that stands for specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound goals. So what are SMART goals? Let's look into it with a little bit of detail. So the first S stands for specific. So the goal should clearly define what you want to accomplish. M is measurable, where you should be able to track your progress with numbers or outcomes. It should be achievable. So the goal should be realistic and within your ability and resources. R stands for relevant, that it should be aligned with your values and your desired outcomes. And T is for time bound, that there should be a deadline or a time frame for achieving the goal. So in this case, we need to first specify which exercise meal or habit you want to include in your life. You decide how you will measure it. You define the steps you will do to achieve it and reflect on how realistic it is for you to achieve this. And then you also set a timeline in your mind. So I'll give you a quick example. Let's focus on exercise here, right? So what will be my SMART goal? I will walk briskly for 30 minutes, 5 days a week in the morning before 9 a.m. for the next 6 weeks to boost my mood and concentration. So let's breaking down. My specific is the focus on walking, which is the exercise I want to take up. The way I'll measure it is with time and how many times I'll do it. So 30 minutes, 5 times a week. Then I'll define if it's an achievable step. So walking is a low intensity, low motivation, and a very realistic thing that you can include in your daily life. So it is achievable. And is it relevant to me in this moment? It will be, as it'll help me reduce anxiety, better sleep, and enhanced memory. And then the timeline in my mind for it is that it's a 6 week commitment. So I'll do it. And then the regular movement that comes out of the exercise will improve my sleep quality, increase blood flow to my brain, and lower cortisol levels, which will in the end impact by reducing my the stress level I feel. I will quickly also give you another example about how we do it with sleep. So the SMART goal here will be I will stick to 10:30 p.m. bedtime and 7 a.m. wake time schedule every day for 21 days and follow a 15-minute wind down routine before bed to improve my focus and mood. So how it works. The specific here is my targeted bedtime and my wake up rule. So that's the habit I want to form. How I'll measure it is I'll set the time and duration of my sleep. So I will go to bed at 10:30 and I'll sleep for 7 hours. Then is it achievable? Am I able to stick to this realistic sleep window, or do I need do I need to change the timing according to how much sleep I'm able to get? It will, the realisticness will help because it is something that I'm able to do. Then the relevance will be it will support my concentration, my memory consolidation, emotional resilience, because I'm getting good sleep. I'm able to fall into a deep sleep that restores all these things for me. Then the timeline is it's a 21-day commitment. So that's how it works. So let's move on to this activity now. If you were able to form a SMART goal for yourself, integrating, exercise, nutrition, and sleep, how would yours look like? I'll give you, this is how the SMART is, the acronym is explained. So if you can take a note of this and then form a SMART goal. Which one would you be more likely to do in the coming week? Would it be for exercise? Would it be for nutrition? Would it be for sleep? Zainab said sleep. So for sleep, you will focus on targeted bedtimes. You'll set the time and duration. You'll see what's the realistic sleep window you can have and how many days you'll try and do this for. Pridima says both nutrition and exercise. That's good. We can also go through a quick example for food when it comes to nutrients. So I will include one probiotic like yogurt or fermented food and one prebiotic like banana, oats in my lunch every day for 30 days to support mood and digestion. So your specific habit will be that you target your probiotics and prebiotics intake. The measure will be that you intake one each day. Achievable is it's It's a simple dietary addition, so you can just add it to your lunch or add it to your snack time. It's relevant to you because it will help improve your gut-brain axis. Then that will in turn improve your mood regulation and also reduce inflammation. And then the time bound would be that you do it in a 30-day time frame. Okay, so we've come towards the end of our workshop today. So just to quickly see the conclusions and takeaways, that we talked about how exercise, nutrition, and sleep enhance our mental health and overall productivity. It is important that we focus on the progress and taking small steps to include these things in our life. You don't instantly need to be really good at it or instantly have a perfect routine. Try what works for you. See, because everybody lives in a different environment, everyone lives in a different place. Pick things that are relevant to you and work best for you as an individual. You can have clear intention and small steps that can transform your energy and the way your mindset is. When your body is re-energized and the nutrients are good and nourished, your mind will function better. Small, consistent habits in these three areas can easily transform how you show up at work, for yourself, how you feel at home. Setting clear goals will help improve productivity as well as your well-being. The habits will take a little bit time to form, so treat it with patience, give yourself time to learn, and then you'll see the results. A quick quote: the mind and body are not separate. What affects one affects another. The source was unknown, so it's by unknown. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for coming today. I hope you're able to use this information and improve your sleep, your nutrient intake. If you, thank you, everybody. We'll be sharing our profile soon in the group. So if you think that taking on therapy is something you want to do in your future, I suggest you give it a try and see how it is for you. Thank you, everybody, for taking out from your time from a weekend and spending it with us here today. I hope you're able to take away at least one thing that helps improve your day-to-day life.